What is up? Welcome to Monday's Hangxiety, Week 7, almost in the books. We still have some games going tonight, just like every week. There were highs, there were lows, and me and Josh are here to give you some time to vent, hopefully celebrate some of your victories. It is time for that therapy session that every fantasy manager needs. Let's get into Monday's Hangxiety. Good morning. What is up? Welcome to Monday's Hangxiety, Club Fantasy's weekly recap show. I am your host, Ryan Weiss. No Gator J this week. He has to go work in the real world, so I'm back in the lineup. With me, as always, Josh Hudson. Josh, how you doing today?
Eagles finally discovered their passing attack, so I'm doing great.
Yeah, I missed the show last week. I had to get some dental work done, but 2 weeks ago was a bad week for Josh because the Eagles let you down. So it's good to be here after an Eagles victory.
Yeah, I mean, 2 straight losses is never great. They still can't run the damn football to save their life. But you know what? At the end of the day, if we can throw like this on a consistent basis, running lanes are going to open up eventually. It's just a matter of time. And I loved Saquon's post game where it was, we got the W. Nothing else fucking matters. Like at the end of the day, we have a lot of great players. This isn't Madden. Not everybody's going to get 200 yards.
And I think
time will come.
That's the way fantasy managers kind of need to look at this week too. This was a weird week of sorts, Josh, and we're going to obviously talk about that throughout the show. When I was putting together the show sheet, what I noticed, a great many running backs disappointed fantasy managers this week, and wide receivers popped off. So if you got the dub in week 7, take the dub. I see the chat going off. George, Andrea, Caesar, a lot of familiar names. Glad to have you guys with us. As a reminder, if you're not one of the members of Club Fantasy, if you want to see this, we go live every single Monday, every single Tuesday. Guess what? Every single Wednesday. We have it every single Thursday. We can do a DFS show every single Friday. If you like what you were getting from this show, hit that like button. Drop some comments. If you want to hear it again next week, hit that subscribe button. If you happen to be watching on Spotify or Apple, hit that follow button. We appreciate each and every one of you. We will get to every question and every comment for the most part in the chat. But I will remind everybody that we do have some segments here. We usually get the questions in between each segment. If you want to jump the line, we do offer super chat. If you need a Monday miracle, you have a question about your lineups tonight, throw a couple bucks at us. We'll make sure we get that answered. Josh, before we get started on the show, talk about the man who was on the thumbnail. Tell everybody about Trophy Smack.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantasy football season's here, and Trophy Smack is where you want to get all of your rewards. They have trophies, rings, championship belts, all of it designed to tell your league mates who the real champion is. Hit the link in the description of this podcast and check out all the swag that you can get to gloat and lord your accomplishments over your league mates. It is all available at trophysmack.com/club fantasy.
Boom. Before we can start talking about the big plays of the week, we need to remind you guys of what went down so far in week 7, going back to Thursday. The Bengals Steelers, well, should have been the most exciting game of the week, and it probably still was the most exciting game of the week. 33-31. If you didn't watch that game, catch the highlights. There were a lot of them. Sunday action started off in London, a rainy London game. Rams beat down the Jaguars 35-7. Eagles take the win, as Josh mentioned, 28-22 on the road against the Vikings. A little bit of rain in that Patriots game, but it wasn't enough to slow the Patriots down 31-13. No new coach bump for the Tennessee Titans. I know a lot of people are worried about that. In the ugliest game of the week, and we all kind of saw this coming, Panthers 13, Jets 6. Could be the end of Justin Fields. More on that later. In the worst weather game of the week, the Cleveland Browns hold down home field advantage 31-6. Weird score for that game when you think about how little fantasy production there was outside of one player. More on that later. The Chicago Bears 26, the Saints 14, the Chiefs 31, Raiders 0. Turns out the people who were asking us about fantasy defense, my stream of the week, Kansas City Chiefs, was the right answer. Colts 38.
Fun fact, really quick.
Yeah.
Andy Reid has a long tenure as a head coach in the NFL. That is the first time he has ever had a shutout.
No.
Ever.
Josh, if I knew you hadn't looked that up before the game, I would be fighting with you. It seems impossible. Andy Reid has been around before Joe Zola was born, and he's never had a shutout.
Never had a shutout. This is the first time he's ever had a shutout. Yeah.
Okay. Josh waking me up on this Monday morning. Colts 38, Chargers 24. That was a fun game, and a game that we could do an entire show about. Broncos 33. Giants 32. This game
was the most exciting game of the week.
I was gonna say, and that's the reason the Steelers are no longer the most exciting game of the week. Gator Jay sent a graphic this morning. All 33 Broncos points scored in the fourth quarter. Jay said it had to be an NFL record. Jay was correct. In games where a team had been shut out for 3 consecutive quarters, 33 points is the most points scored in a fourth quarter. It didn't talk about the comeback victory, though. It's the most points scored in a fourth quarter by the Broncos in history. What a game. Packers 27, Cardinals 23 with their backup quarterback, 44 points for the Dallas Cowboys to only 22 for the Commanders. They doubled them up. And after an exciting Sunday, not the way you want to cap it off. Falcons 49ers kind of fell flat, 20-10. This is a double Monday night game yet again, and it's the worst kind. It's a West Coast Monday night game. Everything kicks off tonight at 7 o'clock.
These are my favorite doubleheaders.
Yeah, exactly. Not doubleheader. It's Buccaneers at Lions at 7 o'clock, and then all the way at 10 o'clock, Ryan will long be in bed. Texans at Seahawks. That is your Week 7 recap. Josh, what do we got going on in the comments here? Let's take a look.
So many. I love it.
George kicks us off. So he changed his team icon to a meme photo of Ben Affleck chain smoking, as everything is just falling through for him right now. Not great. So,
yeah, we've been working in the DMs about trying to like make some moves here and there, but I'm telling you, like I went through and I made a move. Like I swung a trade to get Travis Etienne and George Pickens, and one of the pieces I gave up was Devonta Smith.
How it goes down. I had a guy who's last place in my keeper league who sold draft picks to buy Jayden Daniels, and then Jayden Daniels immediately gets her. He's happy.
We'll get to Jayden Daniels later in the show.
I have a league on ESPN, a home league, my most expensive home league, actually. I have just been asked in this league. They probably are one of those leagues. It's like, this guy's a fantasy analyst. And then last year I waited too long to sell, and I ended up deciding not to sell because I didn't want to I wasn't going to make the playoffs, and I didn't want to be the one who like fuck the playoff race up. This year I'm 2-4, about to be 2-5, and I don't know what I do. Like, I don't want to screw the league up, but I got to do something. Zach said he traded Knicks and Olave for Mahomes, and then this shit happens. Welcome.
Look, at the end of the day, this is a good trade. You traded for the QB1. Like, yeah. And it's not even like Mahomes had a bad week. He was QB5. I mean, look, Knicks balled out, but let's be real here. He did nothing for 45 minutes.
45.
Nothing. So, like,
literally,
you just
0 points.
You just chalk it up. Like, it is what it is. It sucks, but it will work out in the long run.
If this is true, I hate you, Caesar, because Caesar said his Fields to a Superflex team still has a chance to win. I am in a dynasty with the original 10 Ballers writers, and we've expanded, and we have some of the current Ballers writers. And I just bought in that league Travis Etienne and somebody else to try to compete. Josh Allen's out this week. So my quarterbacks this week were Geno Smith and Justin Fields. And I happen to be taking on Ben Cummins, who is heads and tails the best player in the league right now. I'm getting doubled up in points. 2 weeks ago, I thought I was a contender. I want to sell every motherfucker on that team right now.
Dude, we have one of our leagues actually that we're in. I don't know if they purposely did this or just, got busy and kind of forgot. But they have Josh Allen in at quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And him on a bye week scored more points than Tua did.
Yeah, the opponent is not happy.
And they still have a chance to win, by the way.
Yep, exactly. George says he trades for Bill. Juicy matchup against Dallas. Absolutely craps his pants against Washington.
I mean, really, at the end of the day, the Commanders' offense, they ran into someone that they could not overcome the fact that their top 3 wide receivers are out. That's really what it boils down to. The Cowboys have a high-flying offense. They are going to put up points. And obviously losing Jayden Daniels plays a big part in that. But, Jayden Daniels scores the rushing touchdown, not JCM. Because they were trailing, Jeremy McNichols is playing more, right?
Yep.
Chris Rodriguez scores a rushing touchdown. This was a classic case of Bill got game scripted out because he's not used in the passing game.
Yep, absolutely. We got our first request of a Monday miracle. Andrea is down 98, but has Baker, Mike Evans, Nico Collins, Jahmyr Gibbs, but is going up against JSN. If this is normal scoring, I'm mildly concerned. I do think Nico Collins coming into this week, Josh, was my wide receiver one. I talked a lot about him this past week. I think he balls out tonight, so I think that's going to put Andrea in at least a fighter's chance.
Yeah, 100%. This is a fighter's chance. I mean, JSN going against that Houston Texans defense, like that's going to be a tough matchup for him. So I don't think we'll get that like 25, 30 point outburst from JSN. But considering he's eating up like 65, 70% of the Seattle receiving production right now, tells me that you might. But if Mike Evans bounces back and, we don't get Emeka Ibuka, there's nobody right now in that Lions secondary that can cover because they're down their top 4 starters.
Well, and that's the thing. When you look at Andrea's team, all 4 of the players Andrea has going can drop 30 points tonight easily. They did say it was PPR scoring. So you're looking at 30 kind of as a ceiling. So
I mean, Baker should very easily get 25. I mean, 11 quarterbacks this week have scored over 22 fantasy points.
Ridiculous.
And that's 4 point per passing touchdown scoring. That's not even 6 points. Yeah. So that tells you how productive quarterbacks have been this week. Yeah. Mike Evans could very easily put up 20 in a return game. Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, that the Bucs front has been solid, but they've regressed a little
way
bit
more
this
middle
year.
of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, losing Kalijah Cansey has been, hurtful to them. But Gibbs, once you get along the outside, that's where he does his most damage. And he's a really good receiving threat, and the Bucs do yield some points to receiving back. So, Andrew, you definitely have a fighting chance here, 100%.
Yep. You just need JSN to stay a little quiet. Stephen George says he doesn't know who's more cooked, Bill or Trev. And Josh, I was really going to come into this and say it's definitely Travion Henderson because he's not getting volume. But does that not mean Bill's more cooked? Because he is getting the volume and not doing shit with it. So,
I mean,
one of them was a first-round pick.
Volume though? Did he get volume?
13 carries. That's volume in today's NFL.
I guess, but I feel like all that came in the early part of the game.
That's true too.
You know what I mean?
That was another game where I think that was another game that was on my weather report to keep an eye on. I don't think weather was bad. No, it wasn't. I'm lying. It wasn't. Never mind.
So for me, this is Travion Henderson. He's not getting it.
It won't give him the fucking
we had top 20 expectations for Travion Henderson.
Absolutely.
And for a guy that is as talented as he is in the passing game, they're not even throwing him the football. So, I mean, again, we're going to talk about Travion Henderson a little bit later. The answer to this question is unequivocally Travion Henderson. George giving Josh credit for predicting an injury. He talked him into trading. I like this because if this were on Wednesday, Joe would not pull up this comment. So thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe isn't going to allow any credit given. Caesar
thank you, George. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Caesar said he told someone starting Stafford over Daniels was getting cute. 2 things. And Caesar's just me busting balls, as you're fully aware. I hate the phrase getting cute because I feel like it always blows up in your face like
it
this.
Really does,
I try to stay away from that phrase, but Josh, it absolutely was. And I told people stay away from that London game because it was supposed to be this quintessential London weather. And it kind of was. Turns out Matt Stafford don't give a fuck. So
Matt Stafford's been in the league long enough to not give a fuck about anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, I started sending questions over the weekend, Stafford or Mac Jones. The way that Mac Jones has been slinging it, sure, I'll take Mac Jones. He gets George Kittle back. We've seen what CMC's been able to do. His connection with Kendrick Bourne. Yes, I understand the Falcons were a tougher matchup. They have one of the better defenses in the NFL right now. But take the touchdowns out of the equation. Matthew Stafford didn't even throw for 200 yards.
No, it was you kind of.
And Jacksonville has a good defense too. I understand you can throw on them, but they bring the pressure and they create turnovers.
What I'm about to say is one of the stupidest things you're going to hear me say ever in fantasy football. Josh, you use this argument against Trevor Lawrence that you hate when a late touchdown bails out a bad fantasy week. You could argue that 5 touchdowns bailed out a mediocre ass week from
and that's the point.
I know how dumb that sounds. Trust me, I didn't want to say it.
No, but it's true though. Like you get these like pop spike touchdown weeks, and it's like, all right, cool, you'll take it. But you can't sit here when you're making start-sit decisions and say, oh, this guy's going for 5 touchdowns.
Penciling Matt Stafford in for 5 touchdowns this week while Puka Nacua is out.
I mean, yeah, well, also that. Yeah, like, I mean, we talked about Devontae Adams was going to feast. Like, I brought it up on our Saturday show. Like, even with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams is seeing close to a 40% target share. And Puka Nacua is at, like, 46.7. Those are together.
Shit. But he didn't do shit but find the end zone 3 times.
Exactly, right? So, like that, but again, to me, 2 touchdowns was 100% on the board for Devontae Adams, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking in terms of Stafford, okay, maybe we see 3 touchdown passes, right? Maybe, but I wasn't sold that they were going to throw for 300, 350 yards, and they didn't even throw for 200 yards. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like he literally got bailed out by 5 touchdown passes because if he throws for 3, that's not even a 20-point game. Yeah.
My nephew chumps in, says Kittle coming back and getting a goose egg hurt like crazy. That was a weird one. But then again, Josh, this one didn't make the show sheet. I did put it in all caps to remind myself that I just want to be like, this just felt like Kyle Shanahan reminding us that he fucking hates us one more time. We had the Christian McCaffrey debacle last season. This week, George Kittle comes out. He's not on a play count. I think he had 2 targets. Didn't catch either one of them. Yeah. Yuck.
I'm curious to see the snaps because usually with the Sunday night game, it'll come out a little bit later after we record. But I mean, I don't know that it was like rushing him back or easing him back into things or anything like that. I think it was just, and we've talked about this previously, Atlanta covers tight ends really well.
Better defense than you think they are.
They are a better defense than you think. Those pass rushers that they brought in, they actually have a pass rush for the first time in like a decade.
Yeah.
When a team can't stop Christian McCaffrey, you keep giving him the football. It truly is that simple.
Especially when that offense can't score either, meaning the Atlanta offense. Like they're just going to.
They're hot and cold. They're very hot.
Why wouldn't they just keep giving? You're killing the clock. Mm-hmm. You're giving the ball to the best player in football. I mean, there's arguments to be made here and there, but it's close.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't look at it more than it's a tight end. This is what to expect.
I told a lot of people he should be considered a top 5 tight end rest of the season. I'm mildly hesitant on that take, but I'm probably still there with it.
Look, at a certain point, Christian McCaffrey's not going to have 7 catches every fucking week. Like, let's be real here. Like, well, I want to think that, but you know.
Zach just going back to his matchup says the Jamar Chase. He started Chase, Judkins, and Mahomes. So you have a monster score. Helped him take out the number 2 team in the league. And Josh, I want to wrap this round of questions up with a great question from George. How are we feeling about those Minnesota Vikings? Is J.J. McCarthy taking the starting job back? Is Jordan Addison the wide receiver 1? What are your thoughts about the Vikings, Josh? You got a close look at him this week.
Yeah, I mean, McCarthy was always coming back. That wasn't going to be a situation where, you know, Carson Wentz was going to take this job. You know, they invested in McCarthy. They're going to give him a chance. Like Kevin O'Connell has been very vocal about, you know, young quarterbacks don't fail. Organizations fail young quarterbacks. And he's going to do everything in his power to develop J.J. McCarthy. And at a certain point, McCarthy will tell us whether he's it or not.
Yeah.
That's not going to be this season. This is literally his first year starting. There's going to be some growing pains here.
Yeah.
I don't think that Addison is the wide receiver 1 over Justin Jefferson. Let's not get crazy. This is a simple matter of fact of Wentz feels more comfortable with some of the routes that Addison is running over what they're asking Justin Jefferson to run. But also, too, and I've said this for 7 weeks now, the cornerback 2 spot on the Eagles is where you attack.
Problem. Yep.
That is the position to attack. That's why on Wednesday, I said Jordan Addison has top 20 upside. He was one of my upside plays this week. Yeah. 9 catches, 120 yards or 24 yards.
He was a big DFS play for me this week as well.
That is what we should have expected this week. Addison now has 3 straight games over 15 fantasy points since he's come back from his suspension. That is a good thing.
Absolutely.
Hopefully McCarthy can get this train moving and we have 2 viable options here in the Minnesota passing attack. But I'm not selling low on Justin Jefferson. If anything, I'm selling high on Jordan Addison. But I want to keep both of them because for this offense to work, both these guys need to be productive.
Yeah. No, I think Jefferson's honestly a buy. I have a league where I'm stacked at wide receiver. I may try to move turn 2 of them into Justin Jefferson, if that's a possibility. But I do think that Josh is absolutely right there. McCarthy was always taking this job back. I hate that he's been injured the way he is this season because I wanted to see what this kid is the same way I wanted to see what Michael Penix is. And we don't have answers on either one yet, but we're even further behind on McCarthy than we are on Penix because we're still just not getting the numbers. The one thing I'll throw out for the first half of this game, almost the first 3 quarters, Carson Wentz fucking sucked. Like, this is not Carson Wentz's numbers by the end of the game looked okay.
He had to throw to keep up.
Exactly. You're throwing to keep up. And that's exactly what I wanted to say. All right, folks, let's do a little bit of this show sheet. We call it the man of the hour. It's the person on your thumbnail. There was a small debate. I tell you guys, I show you how the sausage is made every week. Josh, me, and Gator have a group chat. And around 4 o'clock, we start to try to decide who's going to be the thumbnail. Well, we weren't really able to make that 4 o'clock decision this week. But there was a small debate. I did not get to watch a lot of football this week. I did some traveling. But one game caught my eye. And when you saw how the comeback happened, Josh, we got to talk Bo Nix. 279 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Another 48 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. This show has been mildly maligned on Bo Nix this season. And tomorrow's show has been even more maligned on Bo Nix. However, he is top 10 in passing and rushing yards as a quarterback. And top 10 in passing and rushing TDs as a quarterback. All of that after this week's stats. He's not setting the world on fire. He certainly did this week, but shout out to Bo Nix for a great week 7 performance.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll pull up, Millie's comment here. Do you?
And Millie,
he's been on the train since last season. So
Millie was on there way before any of us. He started that Bo leave chant for us before any of us were fully on board. This was a show that always said Bo Nix belonged with Sean Payton. Mm-hmm. Millie just believed. Bo leaved. I'm sorry. He was in there. Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, Nix did the damn thing. They talked in the postgame about the one catch that Sutton had on the last drive. Nix was like, yeah, we put that in this week. I'm like, well, shit. Where's this been all season? Because we need more consistent production from Cortland Sutton. But yeah, Sutton did everything this week. It was great. When I say this week, I mean the 4th quarter, because let's be honest, they had no production through 3 quarters. But yeah, I mean, and it kind of feels like the story of the Broncos this season. I mean, they had to come back to beat the Eagles, and they ended up making that play when it counted. The same thing, on that final drive, like Giants, replacement kicker after Graham Gano goes on IR, shanks the extra point. And the moment that he missed that and he hung his head, the Broncos were winning this game. Like, it over. Wasn't anything close. And they just marched right on down the field. I think it was Brian Burns, like right after the game in the tunnel, was absolutely livid.
Well, as he should be. He's the best defensive player in football right now.
But was livid that they dropped 8 into coverage.
Yep.
And it's like you are begging the offense to just march right on down the field. You're not putting any pressure on them. You're playing prevent. I can't tell you how many times I see defenses play prevent defense, and all it does is prevent them from winning.
Yeah.
That's all it does. It is the absolute worst defensive call. And you would think that grown-ass professionals that are making millions of dollars per season would fucking know that over an armchair quarterback sitting at home.
Absolutely.
I don't understand it at all.
And we'll wrap this talk up with the other side of the ball, Josh, which I think deserves just as much credit in this game. All week, we told you, do not start rookie quarterbacks in their first start in Denver. All week. It's been a Joe Zolo adage forever. I have bought into it. It was a lot. I talked on the DFS show how Denver was completely underpriced. These two young men, Josh, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo, are the fucking truth. Plain and simple. They handled their part of the business. The coaching staff and the defense let them down this week.
Oh, 100%. Jackson Dart is that dude. His personality is infectious. It's same thing with Scatterbo. Like these two are cut from the same cloth. This is the energy that New York and specifically the Giants need.
You know who I feel bad for is Malik Neighbors. He deserved after last year to be a part of this.
Yeah, he really
and he
does.
Can't be, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's rough. Hopefully he doesn't take 2 years to get back from this, full strength from this, ACL injury. But like when you see what Jackson Dart is doing, what Cam Scatterbo is doing as a fantasy manager, and I want to preface this as a fantasy manager because as an Eagles fan, I fucking hate seeing this.
Yep.
But as a fantasy manager, I am excited for Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo and the future of this Giants offense.
You have to be. I was actually thinking about that yesterday, Josh, when I was catching up. A lot of scorecard or box score watching for me this week. I was like, man, the Eagles last year just were heads and tails better in their division. You got the Cowboys offense playing their ass off. Their defense actually showed up this week. You can't hate on what happened to Washington because of the injuries. And now you got this new energy in New York. Things are getting a little
and that's
shaky.
the mark of a young team. They're finding new ways to lose.
I love that. You're not wrong. I'm going to hold off on questions for one segment. Let's jump into the unnecessary shot of Rumplements. It is the injuries coming out of week 7. It wasn't actually that bad, Josh. Kendry Miller goes down with a knee injury. Bryce Young goes down with an ankle injury. Darren Waller is one to watch. He goes out with a pec injury. I'll get back to that one in a second. And then Jayden Daniels with a hamstring injury. And we're obviously going to spend a lot of time on Daniels, Josh. I don't think we're doing it in this segment of the show. We're going to do it later. One I want to throw on here, I guess Brian Thomas Jr. went out with a ankle, if I remember correctly.
See that one on my list.
Football Guys just sent out their injury report. Every player on this list they have projected to miss at least a week of time. So just throwing that out there for folks who may be streaming Bryce Young. But Josh, I think for this specific segment, we may need to talk a little bit about Darren Waller. If this happens to be a torn pec, this show's over before it started. He's done for the fucking year. So
yeah, that's definitely. I feel like anytime you see pectoral injuries, they're more often than not season ending.
Yeah.
Like you don't typically,
especially for like a 35-year-old guy. Like,
yeah, definitely concerning there because that Dolphins offense has nothing.
Yeah.
Right now. Like they have Achane and they have Waddle, and Waddle had 2 fantasy points.
Rough.
I mean, it was an absolutely disgusting show. I was texting some old buddies from college and we were talking about, the Eagles and Dolphins and all this kind of shit. And, after the Giants came back, it was just like, all right, who loses their job first? And I'm like, Dable's not going anywhere. Like,
I don't think so.
It from the outside, like any other year, like if they had Russell Wilson at quarterback, yeah, he probably gets fired.
Yeah, because
they drafted their rookie this season.
Exactly.
They're going to give him this year. Like all the talk was they should have fired Dable and Shane before this season, before the draft.
Yep.
When they drafted their rookie, John Mara, and you see it from John Mara, he doesn't want to be one of these organizations that is consistently churning coaches.
And I'm all for that. Like that's how I think teams should be run.
And they should be that. Like you have to go through these ups and downs. And like, yes, Joe Shane has made a lot of questionable decisions. Obviously not, bringing back Saquon and losing, not going after McKinney when they should have, and then watching them ball out this past season. But he has made some really good draft choices. Like they could have very easily went and got an offensive tackle, but said, we need a pass catcher. We need Malik Neighbors. That paid off.
Yeah.
They traded back up to get Jackson Dart. It was hard to say, look, we're going to bypass Abdul Carter. Like that's, he's a really good fucking player. Like, you should
Absolutely.
have drafted Abdul Carter. But when you're in the top part of the draft, you have layups. You can't miss those layups. And right now, they're not missing those layups. But then you hit on a 4th-round pick in Cam Scatterbo, right? You're hitting on some of these other defensive players. You're finding, Marcus Membo, the 5th-round guard, right? Like, you're finding players deeper in the draft. That is the mark of a good scouting and a good GM. Absolutely. Maybe Joe Schoen just needed to work through the kinks and all the problems that he inherited from Dave Gettleman before we actually see what he's made of, right? He's building this team in his image. The question becomes, at the end of the season, is Dable the head coach to get them over the hump? Yeah. So they're going to get to that point. But Mike McDaniel, he should not survive this week. Like, I understand this team right now is just injury riddled. Like, you lose Tyreek Hill, you've now lost the identity of that offense.
Yeah. Because
you built the offense around him. But you're not pivoting. And this is the problem with these Kyle Shanahan tree of coaches. They don't know how to pivot when something goes wrong. Kyle Shanahan doesn't know how to coach when he's trailing. We've gone over this numerous occasions. He sticks to his game plan, and that's it. And his assistants are the exact same way.
Absolutely.
So Mike McDaniel is falling into this trap of the wheels are falling off, and he doesn't have a mechanic to fix it. Yeah. So, yeah, you lose Darren Waller. You have, like, you're dealing with 2 5'10" guys that can't shake a defender.
I just want to thank you, Josh, for putting the bow on that you did. I'm running through my head. I'm like, how did we get here? I forgot this was all about Darren Waller because, again, the injuries don't really matter this week. I'll quickly give them to you one more time because this became a Miami Dolphins thing. But Kendry Miller, Bryce Young, Darren Waller, Jayden Daniels, people smarter than us say expect every single one of them to miss week 8. Just throwing that out there. And Waller, it could be a serious injury. Let's get back to the chat. Joseph Navarro, I love this comment. It's easy to get things right in fantasy football, but only the elite of the elite get everything wrong. And after week 7, Joseph says he's a part of that company. Joseph, I want to tell you who's in this elite company with you, and I don't think she'll mind me throwing her directly under the bus. As our good friend Kelly and Singh at Kelly and Phoenix on Twitter, in our writers league chat says, do we give any bonuses for having the worst score in the league? Miss Kelly Singh in a full flex tight end premium league is sitting at a whopping 22 fantasy points as of this morning in a league where the winners typically score about 150 and we push 200. She has Pat Freiermuth on her bench, who scored 33 fantasy points in this league this week. She has more points from one player on her bench than every starter, and she has not started a 0. Now, she does have a lot of Monday night.
No, she had Darren Waller in that, didn't she?
Well, I'm saying as in, like, she didn't miss a start, like leave Josh Allen in her lineup or anything wild like that. So, Joseph, you are in good company, and I know other people. Josh, week 7 was a bad week.
I have plenty of weeks where I've been in those situations where it's just like literally it's Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. Like, it's just one of those weeks. And I want to publicly apologize to Joseph because he's asked me like multiple times this week, would you go Fields or Bo Nix?
Jesus Christ.
And, he got Jamar Chase in one league. And I'm like, you've got to chase the upside with Fields.
And for 3 quarters,
Josh like, wrong. I felt okay. And then the upside was all Bo Nix, who's the freaking QB1 with 40 fantasy points. And this is the problem with Justin Fields, because I have been very adamant. I've been saying this for years. And I said it when we did our quarterback rankings. I said it when we did our Jets preview. Justin Fields is bad. We need to stop putting him in this category that just because he runs, he is a good fantasy asset. Because right now, even rushing quarterbacks don't fucking matter when you're throwing the ball as well as some of these quarterbacks are.
Exactly.
And It was the whole thing with Anthony Richardson last year. He had over 700 rushing yards and was not a top 20 quarterback because he can't fucking throw.
Yeah.
Justin Fields has no weapons to throw to. He didn't have Garrett Wilson this week. Why did I think he had any fucking upside? Why did anybody think he had any fucking upside this week? So, Joseph, I apologize sincerely.
And it's owed. ATL Outdoors said thoughts on trading Stroud, Shaheed, Jerry Jeudy for Aaron Jones and Gainwell. League mate has Tua, Puka, Ridley, Harrison. He's loaded at running back with Warren, Dowdle, Judkins, Jones, and Gainwell. Here's my thing, Josh. I'm not in a rush to buy Jones and Gainwell is I think the biggest issue here. This is going to sound weird, especially coming from me. The best player in this trade is CJ Stroud. I don't think I'm looking to make this move, and Stroud has been mediocre as shit. ATL, I just don't see the win in this, Josh. Like, I guess
this feels like a trade just to trade. Like, yeah, unless you're assuming that Aaron Jones comes back and is like, lighting the world on fire. But he has a role. It's passing downs. That's it. Like, they're using Jordan Mason as the early down back, and they're using Jones more as that supplemental piece. So you're barely getting a top 30 running back here. Jerry Jeudy is nothing. Rashid Shaheed is
I like the players ATL is trading away.
Yeah, like
I just don't think that's getting enough.
So for me, this is Stroud for two position players. Gainwell's a backup. You can make the argument that Aaron Jones is a backup. So unless you feel that you need depth I
would say go for Warren. Like,
I would go for Warren. Hell, even go for Dowdle at this point.
I would say I think Dowdle's going to be a hard person for anyone to trade away right now.
After this week?
I agree, but it's not like the 400 yards in the last two aren't still fresh in people's minds. I think
But Chuba Hubbard wasn't there for those weeks, and he was for this one.
Yeah. I think you start this trade as Warren, Jalen Warren, and Aaron Jones. If they decline that, Josh, I would trade all three of these guys just for Jalen Warren. I've been on this train all season long, and I kind of got vindicated this past week. So
yeah, that's fair.
Millie just says, "What's up?" He's still suffering from that ATL loss, but he still got to beat one of the best players in his league. Continues that good smoke that we love from Millie. Last week it was Buffalo. This week it's a league mate. Millie keeping those spirits high. High being the operative word. Zach, do we think Sam Laporta can drop 30 points in a non-tight end premium? I don't think this Monday miracle is happening, Josh.
Oh, yeah, I don't see Laporta putting up 30. I can tell you that. Tight ends rarely put up 30. Exactly. I actually put together one of our offseason shows. I did a whole notice about like spike weeks from RBs and wide receivers in comparison to tight ends. I think there was only like 3 30-point games all of last season by a tight end.
Well, now, because I did a lot of what happened.
I can't remember if it was for a show or an article or something, but
yeah, I was gonna say
I remember making some notes on that.
I did a lot this week, Josh, of wanting to see who had the highest points of a position at all. But to Josh's point, it took me 2 seconds to bring it up here. Josh, not one tight end, not one on this entire season has scored 30 fantasy points. The most in PPR scoring were Trey McBride and Arondé Gadsden this week is the most 29.4 PPR points. So again, if it's not tight end premium, I am not liking your chances there, Zach.
Yeah.
Zach brought up, I think this is more informational. I know he's asking us if we have any thoughts. I'm not a doctor. I have zero thoughts. He heard Neighbors has not had surgery, which is very fucking weird, Josh.
Yes and no.
Sometimes
again, I'm going to preface this. I'm not a doctor, and I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I have seen instances from plenty of other doctors that have made notes and references on this. It's very difficult to do a surgery when there's still swelling in the knee.
Oh, okay.
Or if there's any other level of complications. So, like, sometimes with knee injuries, it always becomes, is it more than just the ACL, right? Like, was there a meniscus injury? Was there an LCL, an MCL, a PCL, any of those things? Some of those ligaments without surgery, I think more so the meniscus, can heal on their own without surgery. And sometimes you need to let that play out before you do the major operation that heals the one that can't heal itself.
Yeah, my doctor, I tore my meniscus in my right knee. It was replaced. I then tore it in my left knee. And he said, right now, you don't need to do anything with that one. So they said it'll heal on its own. So
yeah. So
obviously, I'm not a world-class athlete. So
yeah. So like that. And again, sometimes too, it's swelling purposes, right? Like you're not going to go in when your knee looks like this. Like you need rest and ice and all that kind of stuff to get the swelling down before you can do any level of major surgeries or anything like that.
There you go.
Again, not a doctor, so take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to answer. Josh gave you way more than I thought. I just thought it was weird and informational for our audience. Obese Monkey with the win. Picked up Jackson Dart for Sam Darnold. I mean, I like Darnold still, but you can't ignore what Jackson Dart is doing right now.
He was on the waiver wire thumbnail for a reason last week. So
exactly. Yeah, first time a quarterback's made my top 5 ever, I'm pretty sure.
And then they balled out when we told everyone to sit him.
Boom. We talked earlier about the elite of the elite gets everything wrong. VBC says he needs Jared Goff to drop 43 tonight. I'm not going to call this one cooked, Josh. What you need, though, is you need a shootout and you need Baker Mayfield to ball out as well. So hopefully you're not going
really
against,
what this boils down to.
Yeah, hopefully you're not going against any. Oh, wait, hold on a second. This might be a good one. ATL Outdoors is a sports medicine guy. I don't want to make him anybody wait on this. Meniscus depends on the severity. If it's cartilage and no blood supply for quick repair. So
there you go.
That's awesome. Thank you, ATL Outdoors. That's the most informative medical information we have ever had on this show since Stephania Bell, and that's the highest compliment I can pay somebody. George says he should have accepted that scat for Breece trade 2 weeks ago. Motherfucker, yes, you should have.
Yeah, Breece Hall is going to come up a little bit later, let me tell you.
George, that's going to haunt you forever, and I have a story for that. I'll be very quick. I play in a keeper league. I've been a Travis Kelce stan for as long as the world has turned. Last year, before Brock Bowers had played a single snap, someone offered me Bowers straight up for Kelce because they knew I was obsessed with Brock Bowers, and I declined that trade, and it has bothered me every single day since. Obese Monkey says he's going against Baker and Mike Evans and the Houston defense. He's praying Evans doesn't do much or Baker. I'm worried for you, my friend. I'm very worried.
I was going to say this blows very contrary to what Andrea from earlier in the show needed. I mean, look, there's a lot of issues going on in that Detroit Lions secondary right now. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity for Baker and Evans to get going.
Yeah. I had these in here out of order. So Obese Monkey says, does he trade Dobbins straight up for Waddle? He needs another wide receiver to pair with Adams. And he points out that his current running backs are Scat, JT, Dobbins, Rico, and Mason. So he does not need Dobbins. But the question is, Josh, especially for this show, do we trust Jaylen Waddle?
I mean, he was a top 12 wide receiver on the season going into this week. I mean,
and Josh, we're going to do the hangover.
And we talked about this. The Browns have a good defense.
And
the weather
in Cleveland sucked.
So. Yeah. So, like, I mean, I'm fine with it. Look, at the end of the day, this is a bad football team, and they're going to throw the football. So that in and of itself will propel Waddle up most rankings. Like, Tua has back-to-back weeks with 3 interceptions. So, not good. They brought in Quinn Ewers late in the game. Didn't really do much, but it lends the thought to
one really nice ball, though, and I couldn't help but thinking when I saw that pass, I haven't seen Tua throw a pass like that in a long time. Like, that was all I could think. So,
yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with Fields in New York, right? Like, they finally pulled the trigger and actually benched him, and they brought in Tyrod Taylor, and so it's going to lend itself to questions of, can and will these teams ultimately make a change? And if that does, like if you're bringing in someone like Quinn Ewers, I got to tell you, it doesn't lend me much confidence in Jaylen Waddle. I'll be honest with you on that front.
All right.
But I think you have to make that trade if you need wide receiver, or continue to shop Dobbins and see what other wide receiver you might be able to get.
I'm getting the alert that my internet's a little shaky. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm going to get to questions, but the next question kind of leads us into the hangover, Josh. So I want to move on to the hangover. These are the biggest duds of the week. I'm going to read you a list of players who all let you down, and then Josh and I are going to pick on a couple of them. So here is the list of those who let you down this week. Caleb Williams, Mac Jones, Kyron Williams, Ashton Genty yet again, Saquon Barkley, Bill Krosky Merritt, Alvin Kamara, Travis Etienne, Travion Henderson, Drake London, Roma Dunze, Brian Thomas Jr., George Kittle, Michael Mayer, and Chigakonkwo. Everybody's talking about the George Kittle goose egg. Chigakonkwo also has a goose egg. I left the Cleveland-Miami game out of this. Cleveland weather was shit. It was just an ugly game. I kind of expected a bad game for all these people. Josh, I know you're first on the list, but I actually want to start with Justin Fields because we already talked about him earlier in the show, and the comment that is that we have is also about Fields. So I want to start here because, Josh, I want to ask you, and I'll make my point before you answer here. Is he just done? Like, are we done with Justin Fields? You hit my point without even realizing it. He leads all quarterbacks in rushing yards this season. He
leads by like 3 yards. Let's not go
Josh,
too
shut
crazy
the fuck
here.
up. Don't hit my point here. Leads all quarterbacks in rushing, is the QB 21 in fantasy. This man has 845 passing yards in 6 played games. And this is his 3rd game of the season, Josh. Under 50 yards passing. What the fuck, dude?
Look, this whole season was going to be about how much rushing is Justin Fields going to do? Because when you look at this passing attack, and we said it during our Jets preview, it was Garrett Wilson and the field.
Yeah.
I made the case for Breece Hall because he's been very involved in the passing attack for the Jets in the past. And contrary to popular belief when it comes to running quarterbacks and how little they throw to running backs, Justin Fields has actually not had a problem throwing to the running backs. Like during his starts over the last few seasons, he's averaging about a 20% target share to the running back position. And Breece Hall hasn't been terrible as a receiver. But you outlined the big problem here. 3 games under 50 passing yards. This isn't rushing or receiving. This is passing yards.
And I'll throw out there, in case anybody's not familiar, I paid attention to these games. He was hurt in the Bills game. He left in the 4th quarter. 50 yards is unacceptable no matter which way you slice this.
Yeah. So. That rough, plain and simple. Obviously, I think he got benched in the 3rd quarter in this one.
He did. Absolutely.
Yeah. Nope. So but again, he should still be able to throw for 120 yards in 1 half. Like, I don't think that that's too much to ask for. But that's the problem. He's not a good thrower of the football. He takes an hour and a half to get the ball out of his hands.
Which we've been talking about from draft day.
Yes. Can't read a defense to save his life. And he's been in the league how long now? 6 years?
Let me throw George up. This is the reason we're here right now. Justin Fields cannot read a too high defense. He's good in spot starts when the defense cannot prepare for him. Such a good fucking point.
I don't get it. And I feel bad for Garrett Wilson. I feel bad for Breece Hall, which, again, we'll talk about here a little bit later. But they did not, and again, maybe this is going back to Kevin O'Connell's comment about organizations fail young quarterbacks. When you look at how the Jets constructed this offense, were they really trying to let Justin Fields cook?
No.
You gave him no passing options.
Yep.
You built the offensive line. The offensive line, to me, really, truly has not been.
And more importantly, no underneath options. Every wide receiver you got is a field stretcher. How does that even make sense?
Yep. And that's like when you look at how the Colts offense operates, every single option has a defined role, and they all fit like puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
There's no redundancies. There's no, well, these two are going to run the exact same routes, and then whoever's open, that's who gets the football. It's this guy goes this way, this guy cuts in, this guy does this guy runs in the flat. They're like that offense right now should be the poster child for how to construct and build an offense. And I don't say that lightly.
Yeah.
Shane Steichen, and again, he was the offensive coordinator in Philly when all they wanted to do was just run the football. But that was the year that we went to the Super Bowl. That was the year that everybody learned who Jalen Hurts was.
Yep, absolutely.
This is the year that we're learning and understanding that the Giants failed Daniel Jones.
100%. And Shane Steichen is him with the right quarterback. So.
Correct. Justin Fields for the Jets, not it at all.
And then my dishonorable mention, Geno Smith, the QB 34 in fantasy. I feel like our audience is pretty smart. I don't think I need to remind you how many teams are in the NFL, because it ain't 34. And so, Josh, I'll wrap up my end of this asking, should both of these teams be calling the New York Giants about Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston? Unlikely the Giants are trading both, but I feel like the Jets need Jameis, and I feel like the Raiders need Russ.
I can tell you right now, the Giants are not going to move Jameis. I think
he's such a locker room guy.
He's a locker room guy. He is the perfect person to keep Jackson Dart's spirits up if they were to ever get down. And I think anytime that you have a young quarterback like Jackson Dart, you need that level of ecosystem.
Yeah.
And for everything that Russ struggles with at this point in his career, he also, too, is a really good mentor because he's been that young guy. He's been that, take early career success, wins the Super Bowl with Seattle. Like, should teams be calling 100%? Like,
the Giants may.
I don't know that the Giants want to or even should trade any of these guys.
So, Josh, I feel like what you just said, and I don't know, I don't know how to create graphics. I feel like Jameis and Russ are the angel and devil on Jackson Dart's shoulder, but in the best possible way.
No, it's true. Like, Jameis is going to be like, fuck it, we ball, risk it for the biscuit, like throw it, right?
Yeah.
Russ is going to be like, yo, you can throw the deep passes, but maybe it's okay to check down or run and take off. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
in the best possible way.
No, 100%. Like, and you have like two very different mentors there as well, like in really good ways. Like, Jameis has been, the young flame out, right? Like, he's been the top draft pick that had everything thrust on top of him and maybe didn't quite live up to expectations. Russ has been the underappreciated, third round pick that nobody should have given a chance to, but then beats out a free agent acquisition in Matt Flynn, who, whatever, it's Matt Flynn, but like took Seattle and did a lot of great things there. And it's just gotten to the downside of his career. And there's so much that Jackson Dart can learn from those guys. Like, if you're the Giants, like, they're not eating up a ton of cap space.
Nope.
You have no need. Trading any of those guys, at the end of the day, what does it net you? A 6th round pick?
That's fair.
That's not, that does nothing for you. Nothing. So, should teams call 100%? They should. Any of those quarterbacks is not going to make any of those teams better. Let's be real here.
Yeah. All right. And Josh, make everybody feel worse about first round draft pick Travion Henderson.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah. I mean, look, just when we thought it was safe to bury Ramondre Stevenson,
nope.
Josh McDaniels pulls him back in. This New England rushing attack is just god awful for starters. It's all Drake May. He's setting up everything. Had another 62 yards rushing this week. Ramondre got going. We joked about it in our NPI chat. Like, apparently it takes going against one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL to actually be able to run the football, right?
Yeah.
But what makes this so annoying is that Antonio Gibson is down for the year. That should have propelled Travion Henderson into more looks. We've seen this on numerous occasions with Josh McDaniels. He's from this Bill Belichick school of thought. Rookies earn their spot. They are not given. And if you're not doing the little things, you're not going to get in the football game.
Absolutely.
Travion Henderson is a great pass catcher. This is the role that we envision for him, in that James White role. But he's also a really good runner. So a lot of us over-projected what should be a really great season for Travion Henderson based on that and based on the talent or lack thereof around it. He's not a veteran. He's not going to be able to come in and know the veteran ways of doing things. Mike Vrabel he's a product of Bill Belichick. Josh McDaniels, a product of Bill Belichick. We have seen this story written for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
and every single one of us let our fucking egos and our scouting, when we're not paid to do that, tell us,
yep,
this is how it should be done.
I don't think it's this, but it just screams Clyde Edwards-Helaire all over again. So
don't you put that evil on me or Travion Henderson for that matter.
100%.
Because he is not Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I just couldn't help, though, watching Quinshon Judkins do everything he wanted this week. Be like, man, the whole world had Henderson ahead of this guy.
And again, from a talent perspective, sure, maybe. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
Judkins has opportunity. And right now,
on a team that wants to run the ball.
100%. The opportunity is there for Travion Henderson. The difference there is that Judkins has a head coach that literally drafted him to do this. And we talked about that all off season.
Yes, we did.
McDaniels is going to do what McDaniels does. Yeah. They drafted Henderson to be a piece for the future. Maybe it was this year. Maybe it wasn't this year. They wanted to see what Drake May was going to be able to do, how he was going to progress, and how he was going to learn this system, all these little things. Ramondre knows this system. Let's not forget Josh McDaniels drafted Ramondre Stevenson 100%. In his last stint in New England.
Yeah.
So McDaniels likes Stevenson.
Yeah.
That's what people didn't want to realize, and that's what we talked about all offseason before all of this Travion Henderson hype.
Joe Zolo was, in typical Joe Zolo fashion, Joe Zolo was being rude to people who were not acknowledging that Ramondre Stevenson was the starting running back for the Patriots. And Joe has turned on Ramondre. Don't get me wrong. He, until this week, was against Ramondre, but he is not back down that Ramondre is the starting running back. And
no,
clearly
he is. 100%. He is. Like, if you need a roster spot, it pains me to say this, you can drop Travion Henderson.
100%. Yep. I think that'll be coming up on the Tuesday waiver show where we do talk about players you can drop, and that's usually 90% of the questions as well. AT Outdoors says, due to injuries, JCM is one of his starters. Herbert is his quarterback, trying to figure out how to get another running back. Pickens, St. Brown, Keenan Allen are the backbone. Yeah, Josh, I don't feel like you move. I obviously, I don't know what your bench. He says Swift is his other back. He's just needing someone with dependable at running back. Josh, I think the issue is, and I talked about this earlier in the show, this is a bad week to make that judgment call, though I think everyone's asking about moving on from JCM. This is a bad week to make that judgment call because it was a bad week for running backs. But I also think, and you've been saying this so much this season, don't trade your strength at wide receiver just to get running backs. Play your best 5-6 starters possible. And if your weakest player is your running back too, that's still okay if you have these studs at other positions.
Yeah, I feel like, and I'll go back to, one of our industry legends, Bob Lung. He has his consistency guy that he does every single year. And I feel like that is I don't want to call it like an old school way of looking at fantasy football, but people get in their head about, well, I need consistency from every single position. You're playing a week-to-week game.
Yep.
So that's why we do weekly rankings. That's why we do matchup reports. That's why we look at things that you're going to have some spike weeks. You're going to have some down weeks. It's not just when you look at that final season number and you see, oh, they put up 15 points a game. Because within that 15 points a game, there's some 5-point weeks. There's some 7-point weeks. There's some 25-point weeks, some 30-point weeks, some 4-point weeks, right? There's all these ebbs and flows. So sometimes you just need to be able to grab a collective and mix and match. Sometimes you're going to guess right. Sometimes you're not.
Yeah, I feel like we've reached a point in this season, Josh. Swinging for the fences seems to be the way to go.
You have to. And the downside with someone like Bill or JCM, whatever the fuck you want to call him.
We're calling him Bill.
Calling him Bill. All right. The downside with Bill is that he's not involved in the passing game.
Yep.
And it's the same thing that I've said with Derrick Henry this season. And it's the same thing that I outlined on this show about Quinshon Judkins last week. these guys are game script dependent because they do not and are not involved in the passing game. So when you see a matchup like what Judkins had this week against Miami, you say, this is the week that I'm starting Judkins because I know he's going to run the rock.
Yeah.
I mean, really, when you look at it, the rushing numbers weren't great. Like, the over-under on him, his player prop was 91.5. Like, it jumped so fucking high. And he had 84 rushing yards and less than 4 yards per carry. But he had 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
You know, JCM, this was a matchup that he could exploit. The problem was
the offense.
The Washington offense had to keep up with how much the Cowboys throw the football.
100%.
Losing Jayden Daniels is what sunk Bill in this game.
Yeah.
Because
that
Jayden Daniels not on the field.
That perfectly leads to George's point here. He asks, is Bill a bench going forward? Josh, I've been the conductor of the Bill train. I told people not to take him off the bench even these last couple weeks because I didn't trust it. I do think he's a hold. A lot of the chat is saying hold. The volume is there to say hold him. He could eventually pop, like what you were saying, in the right matchups. These could have been the right matchups, but there were other factors. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think you just keep this guy on your bench and pray for the best. So.
Yeah, and he's definitely a bench this week against KC. KC's another one, high-flying offense. You're bringing Mariota in. Bill's not this week against KC. I can tell you that.
Zach asks us if Alvin Kamara gets a bump with Miller being out. I don't think this changes a single thing for Kamara. It's just going to be Devin.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to suddenly see 30 touches as a result.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets a bump to like 22. But at the end of the day, the Saints offense just isn't good. So, it's not making Kamara any better, in my opinion.
Yeah. We were talking about tight end pop weeks. Millie brings up Tucker Kraft had 25 a couple weeks ago. That's actually the 6th highest score by a tight end this season. So
there you go.
Again, not likely you're getting 30 out of Laporta. Caleb says he somehow found Mike Evans on waivers. Leagues are weird. Plugged him in with Ibuka out, though Ibuka is not officially out yet, is he?
He's not. They're calling him a true game time decision.
But I do think we see a good Mike Evans bounce back this week with the Detroit secondary decimated by injury right now. And,
I mean, they're three of their starters are out, and then Brian Branch is suspended. So
yeah, the other one's taking a game off. Obese Monkey says he's up 149-94, trying to hold on to the upset. That's the matchup where he has Baker, Evans, and the Houston defense. So good luck, my friend. It's a weird week. Do we think Andy Dalton will be to Teteroa McMillan what Mac Jones was to BTJ? I kind of like this question. I thought he was going to say Mac Jones to Kendrick Bourne, and I said, no, that's not the right comparison. But Mac Jones to BTJ could be interesting.
Fed families last year.
Yeah.
Could he be? Sure. Andy Dalton being a veteran. I think the biggest difference to this, though, is the way that the offense is built in Carolina. We saw the pop week from Leggett, which was great. Tet, we talked about Tet being kind of a fade this week, with the Sauce Gardner treatment and all that. Yep. But, could he? Sure. I don't know that I would go so far as to say that McMillan is going to morph into like peak BTJ, but I think he can still be a solid, wide receiver 2 flex option, 100%.
Joseph, you've been with the show for a while, so I'm going to give you the same answer I've been giving people for 9 consecutive weeks now. Carolina offense sucks. Don't worry about that team whatsoever. Caleb Windex feels like people are quick to. I thought this was a really good point by Caleb. People are quick to forget how bad Russ is. It's not like he's going to go turn the Raiders around. And should the Raiders really be buying at 2-5, Josh?
No, they need to just. Look, here's the problem. And Pete Carroll said it in the postgame. He's like, I didn't think that not having Bowers and Myers was going to affect us as much as it did, clearly.
Then fire Pete Carroll because he's a fucking idiot.
No, but that's a coach having faith in the other guys. And I get that, right? The fact of the matter is, outside of those two and Genty, they don't have any talent on that team. they don't have like they have a bunch of young guys that just haven't figured shit out yet. Like Jack Besh is learning being a pro. Dante Thornton Jr. is learning being a pro. You know,
Trey Tucker is still learning being a pro.
Yeah, I mean, he's in year 3, but dude's fucking Mighty Mouse. Like, you're only gonna get so much with a 5'8" dwarf on your team.
Yeah, Michael
Mayer
wide receiver. Same situation. So.
And Michael Mayer, another one. Like, his development probably would be a lot better had you not drafted Brock Bowers, right? Yeah. So, really, at that point, you have nobody to blame but yourself. But the offensive line is a lot of work. I think Colton Miller is still out because they put him on IR, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, you're expecting Geno Smith, who, mind you, is an average to below average starting quarterback in the NFL, to lift a team that rivals the Bad News Bears and the Little Giants. Like, let's be real here. That's just not going to happen. And if that's the case and you're at 2-5, you need to start looking at, all right, do we have any movable pieces that can realistically get us draft capital to help us build a roster in Pete Carroll's image?
Yeah.
If Pete Carroll is your head coach going after this.
Certainly not go by Russell Wilson.
No, that's not saving.
If anything, if O'Connell's healthy enough, you get his ass back on the field and find out how he runs this offense. So,
yep.
Obese Monkey just bragging to the world that JT got him 32 points. I think that was in response to me saying running backs were inconsistent. JT and Christian McCaffrey are in a different conversation. Always. And Josh, we're going to wrap up questions after this and move on to a segment. But would we rather stash RJ Harvey or Romeo Doubs rest of the season?
Shit, the way the running backs have been, I kind of want to favor RJ Harvey here.
I hold running backs. You know that about me. So
Dobbs is, I think, replaceable in any given week. Like, he'll have his pops because that's the Green Bay offense. But when the offense is going, it's running the football. And we saw it this week. Like, Josh Jacobs, 2 touchdowns. Tucker Kraft seems to be that guy now, which again is kind of what we talked about heading into the offseason, or heading into this season during the offseason. But Dobbs is their wide receiver 1, plain and simple. You know, how long that lasts once Jayden Reed comes back and everything else, I don't know. But as of right now, like, Dobbs is the guy. So if you prefer wide receivers, it's Dobbs. If you prefer running backs, which I know Ryan does, it's RJ Harvey.
Yep, it's RJ Harvey for me. Reminder, we will get to every audience question and comment for the most part. Just keep dropping them in the chat. We will get back to you. Before we move on, I will remind you, if you like this content that we put out for you every single week, hit that like button, drop some more comments for us if you're watching this video a little bit later. If you want to hear it again next week, hit that subscribe button. If you happen to be on Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button. Josh, one last time for this show, remind them about our partnership with Trophy Smack.
Yeah, fantasy football season's here, and Trophy Smack is where you want to get all your rewards. They have trophies, rings, championship belts, all designed to tell your league mates who the real champion is. It is all available at trophysmack.com/Club Fantasy.
And I forgot to do this read last time. If you still want to talk fantasy football when this show ends, inevitably, Josh and I will need to get out of here. We do have a completely free Discord where Josh, myself, Gator J, Austin, HoofTube, a bunch of people I'm forgetting are all in there commenting, talking about fantasy football all the time from here at Club Fantasy. It is a great time. It's completely free. Get your ass in there if you want to keep talking fantasy football as we move on to the shot of espresso. These are the quality performances that got the juices flowing this week. Let's break down those honorable mentions. Obviously, Jackson Dart, we talked about him earlier in the show. 4 bills for Justin Herbert this week. Matthew Stafford with 5 tutties. JT and CMC can just pin their names here. We're not going to talk about them a lot. This is what they do. Great week for Quinshon Judkins. Keenan Allen has a monster week. Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, more on them later. Devontae Adams, we mentioned 3 touchdowns. Chris Olave, 2 touchdowns. Xavier Legette, the leading receiver for the Carolina Panthers. Welcome back, Rashee Rice. 2 touchdowns for you. CeeDee Lamb with a big touchdown and a big week. Jordan Addison did his thing. Trey McBride did his thing. Jake Ferguson continues to hold down the tight end role. But Josh, as has been the theory this season, or the pattern this season, we tell somebody to get dropped, they go off. Talk to me about your shot of espresso for the week.
Yeah, it's like clockwork, right? You know, we tell you it's okay to drop somebody and they somehow catch wind of it and take it personally. For those wondering, I'm referencing Travis Hunter. For the past, month it feels like on Wiretapped.
Yep.
You know, we drafted Hunter because, you know, he was supposed to be this cheat code, and, you know, IDP leagues, he was going as the 101, you know, all the defense, and then combine that with the offense. But he wasn't really doing much on either side of the ball. Jacksonville just could not figure out how they wanted to use him. It was, oh, well, we're going to take his offensive snaps away because the defense is struggling this week, right? Like they go against Cincinnati. Well, he's got to cover Jamar Chase and Travis Hunter, so he plays more snaps there. But Liam Cohen came out ahead of this week and said, we need to get Travis Hunter more involved in the offense, and we're going to make him a priority in terms of first read plays.
Yeah.
This man did nothing in the first half of this game. Granted, the Jacksonville Jaguars did nothing in the first half of this game. But he ends up with 14 targets when it's all said and done, 8 for 101, and then scored his first NFL touchdown. I joked in our Discord about he's on the Kyle Pitts pathway where he scores his first touchdown overseas. And
so I promise you, I gave somebody some bad advice not to play Hunter this week, and I said the exact same thing. I said it's Kyle Pitts all over again. He's going to be trash when he gets back to America.
Yeah. But this is what I find interesting. When you look at this stat line, 14 targets, 8 touchdowns, 8 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. What role does that remind you of?
I read the show sheet, so I'll let you answer.
Chris frickin' Godwin.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what this role looked like. Oh, by the way, that's the role that we talked about 100%. Travis Hunter having in this Jacksonville offense. The question was always, how much offense is he playing? How much defense is he playing? We should listen to head coaches when they tell us these things. Now, mind you, what makes this really interesting going forward, the Jags were out of this game and they needed a throw to keep 100%. Up. And this offense, quite frankly, has looked like crap. This is a problem when you have your top 2 options, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, through 7 weeks of this season, have combined for 2 touchdown catches.
Terrible.
So I will lend some caution here, because at the end of the day, do you really want to buy into this Jacksonville passing offense? Because I don't know that I want to.
I'm not even mad at the folks. I'm not mad for the folks that we told to drop Hunter. I benched Hunter in all my offense-only leagues. I did start him in my defense league because he was still putting up decent corner numbers. He was getting it all as a wide receiver, but he was still putting up decent corner numbers. And so then you're just praying for a pop week like this, and that's what I got. So
yeah, the only leagues that I started Travis Hunter in are like my productive struggle dynasty leagues where I just kind of had to.
Absolutely.
Paid off, but also didn't really help me struggle, which kind of defeats the purpose. But like, truthfully, I don't know what to expect about Travis Hunter going forward. I really don't, because I just feel like it's going to be a consistent yo-yo act. But what I do know is that Liam Cohen said we want to get him more involved. They got him more involved. And the results speak for itself.
Yeah.
He topped 100 yards this week. Brian Thomas Jr. has not topped more than 90 in a game this season, and that was week 6.
Last week, yeah.
So maybe this is something where they say right now our best option on offense is to throw the football to Travis Hunter. And if that's the case, we need to pay attention.
Yeah, I agree completely. And then I knew you were going to bring this one up. I had my own little honorable mention, but take us home with your Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, welcome back to the passing offense. Jalen Hurts, only the 3rd Eagles quarterback in team history to record a perfect passer rating in a game. That would be Donovan McNabb in 2007. And here's the fun part, because everybody remembers Nick Foles for being the backup that won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, he was also a starting quarterback that threw 7 touchdown passes.
Yes, he was.
In 2013. That was also a perfect quarterback rating.
Really?
Devonta Smith records the most receiving yards in the NFL this season in a game, 183 yards, and set a personal career high. He was the wide receiver 2 on the week. A.J. Brown only had 4 catches, but had 121 yards, and 2 of those catches were touchdowns. He was the wide receiver 4 on the week. This offense still can't run the football. But I said it earlier in the show. When you can throw the football like this, it will open up running lanes eventually. I don't know if this is going to be a consistent thing. God, I hope so, because I'm really tired of people saying that Jalen Hurts can't throw the football. There is literal evidence that he can throw the football and is a damn good quarterback.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen Jalen Hurts look like this since the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Maybe this is the turning point for Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator. I hope it is. But what I do know is that there are still a lot of really tough teams on the Eagles schedule. So they're going to have to throw the football.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. If you are worrying about A.J. Brown, don't. If you are worried about Devonta Smith, don't. I said it earlier in this season. Dallas Goedert right now is very touchdown dependent. 3 catches for 19 yards this week, no touchdowns.
Kind of felt like last year's Eagles offense where the wide receivers balled, Dallas Goedert didn't. So,
yep.
Yeah, I think that's fair. If you guys paid attention this week, you knew damn well who my shot of espresso was going to be. I love when young tight ends pop. I also happen to be a huge Syracuse Orange fan. So Rondé Gadsden II went off. That is now back-to-back 7-catch weeks. He is the tight end 2 for week 7, going for 7 catches, 164 yards, and 1 touchdown. And as Josh pointed out, Devonta Smith has the most receiving yards by anyone this season. Rondé Gadsden, the rookie, has the most receiving yards by a tight end this season with that 164 in a single week. I mean, he is the tight end 17 overall. He is the tight end 10 in points per game, and that is despite 2 zeros in fantasy football in weeks 1 and week 2. The fantasy tight end landscape still sucks. Rondé Gadsden could be your answer to get you out of the streaming game. A few weeks ago, I cautioned folks, leave him on your taxi squad. If you were one of the smart people who picked him up and held him, leave him on your taxi squad. I, Josh, am now ready. If you need a tight end to bring Rondé Gadsden, I'm ready to give up the roster spot and get him on my roster.
He has to be.
Has to be.
Look at how much they're throwing the football.
Yeah.
And I mean, they can't run it, obviously. They don't have that quality running back like Amari and Hampton. So this team is going to morph into pass first if it wasn't already there. And they've got the weapons to throw the football, and Gadsden being one of them.
Yeah. Shout out Craig Lennox, Cuse fan as well. Love to see it. And then, Josh, I have to give a shout out to a guy who this show has just been a fan of from day one, and it's not hard to be a fan of this guy. Jonathan Taylor, 3rd 3-touchdown game of the season. Josh, Jonathan Taylor has more rushing touchdowns than not 1, not 10, not 20, but Jonathan Taylor has more rushing touchdowns than 31 NFL teams, Josh. He has more rushing touchdowns than the entire NFL. Every other team, Jonathan Taylor has them beat.
I'm telling you right now, if we talked about Baker Mayfield being like the MVP after 6 weeks, if Shane Steichen isn't your coach of the year,
yeah,
you're doing the coach of the year voting wrong.
You're doing it wrong. You love to see it. Josh, let's get back to our friends in the chat. George says Kendrick Bourne is a drop after last night. I think that's probably fair. They're going to get Ricky Pearsall back. I don't know that I'm rushing out to drop him. Certainly a little more cautious about finding the starting lineup.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm dropping him. I mean, let's be real. Who's on waivers right now that you're rushing to pick up?
Yeah, I haven't looked at this week's waiver report yet, but I know
we'll get to it. But
yeah, not a lot of weird people have.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there weren't really a lot of options that popped this week that were not on rosters or in starting
100%.
lineups. So I think we need to be very careful in how we're talking about, so-and-so's a drop because of one bad week. Again, like we've kind of talked about that, Kendrick Bourne had a short lifespan in terms of fantasy production because San Francisco was going to get all of their weapons back. George Kittle came back and did nothing. So, there's still going to be opportunity for Bourne. Jennings was a little bit more involved from what I saw. Obviously, we know CMC is the centerpiece of this offense, and that is the case going forward anyway, as long as he's healthy. So Bourne was always going to be a supplemental piece. Mac Jones, and again, this was a situation where they went up against a really good defense. Let's remember this: the Falcons are a good defense.
Yes, they are.
And they were winning this whole game. They did not need to throw the football. The same way that Bill couldn't run the football because Washington was losing. San Francisco didn't need to throw the football. So absolutely. Kendrick, this is one of those, we're overreacting because the 49ers were winning. We don't need to be, panic mode 10, especially on a fairly average player like Kendrick Bourne, but let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Craig just asking our thoughts on a couple of players: Debo Samuel, Kendrick Bourne. We've kind of just talked about Drake London. I hate reading into injuries, Josh. I think that offense is going to be fine when everyone gets healthy, but now with a quarterback injury, I mean, Debo seems like his role is safe as long as he's able to get back on the field.
Yeah, I mean, he's already played at least one game I know of with Marcus
Mariota.
Mariota. I think it was 2, but he was fine.
Yeah.
And
I'm not worried about Drake London. Shit like this happens, plain and simple.
Yeah, it's just a bad week.
Yep.
Not worried about it.
Shout out to Quincy. Continue it rocking. But he has to choose Evans or Ibuka. Josh, I'm going Evans. Hands down.
I'm going Evans. I don't even care if Ibuka plays. I'm going Evans because I don't trust. I personally, I think Ibuka is just going to be a distraction.
Yeah. A la George Kittle. Zach giving us a little shout out. He appreciates that we answer every question. Josh and I talk about this a lot. We have kind of made our name in this industry answering every question, and that is never going to change. Sometimes it leads to really chaotic shows. And I want to be very honest with you guys. I love what we do here. Sometimes I get a little pull my hair out because I try to stick to the show sheet. I am trying to let that go. We do this show for you guys. I like to be very honest. The only money this show makes is off of a couple of YouTube views. So if we can keep you guys here longer to answer your fucking questions, we're going to fucking do it. Now, Zach, you're on Twitch. Make sure you throw us a like over on YouTube as well. We appreciate you. But no, in all seriousness, guys, we do this show for you. We started this show for you guys. Josh said, I have Monday morning open. You have Monday morning open. People seem to like to talk to us on Monday morning. This is why we do the show. We love you guys. We really do appreciate the support you've given us for 3 consecutive years now with the growth we've seen on YouTube and everywhere else, Twitch as well. Thank you guys. And we do it for you guys. Caesar says he needs 7-0, needs 2 sacks from Danielle Hunter. I don't hate his chances of getting 2 sacks from Danielle Hunter tonight. Yeah,
I mean, maybe. How many sacks does Hunter have this week or this year? I'm just curious. I mean, anytime you're playing opposite Will Anderson, you're going to have opportunities.
Yeah, I feel like he has 3 or 4. I wish I had the numbers right in front of me. It's only
I would say 2 in a game is always tough. I mean, Micah Parsons just had 4
sacks, 4 sacks, 5 QB hits. QB hits is an indicator that he's getting after the quarterback, and that's a decent number as well.
Yeah, and I mean, Seattle's offensive line is okay. Like Charles Cross is their better tackle, but I have a feeling he's probably going to see more of Will Anderson than anything.
Yep. Jaquarius got in a little bit late. What do you do with Bill? We say he is a hold. Yeah. But he is a bench, and certainly this week against Kansas City.
Yeah, Jaquarius, that's kind of what we were talking about with Bill. Is a very game script dependent running back because he's not involved in the passing game. That role is Jeremy McNichols for the Washington Commanders. So you just kind of have to. This is where paying attention to Vegas odds, implied team totals, over unders.
Yeah, this
is where that kind of information can help us with a lot of start sit questions because team implied totals. This was the highest over-under game on the slate. And maybe if Jayden Daniels doesn't, leave early with an injury, there's a very different outcome. Yeah. Maybe not outcome, but at least a different, pacing, game environment. Game script environment. So where Bill's more on the field for rushing attempts and so forth. But again, he's not a passing down back. So you're going to need games where they play inferior opponents, and Dallas is arguably the best offense in the NFL.
Stephen George, great question. Is Kendrick Miller worth stashing? Injury prone, kicks in again, and then hilariously, I actually forgot to mention this earlier. He goes down against Dennis Allen, who destroyed Kendrick Miller every opportunity he got, and said this. I know this is not the only person to ever say it, but it has been stuck with me. He said, you can't make the club from the tub about Kendrick Miller, and that's what we're seeing here, Josh. And I'm just going to answer this from personal note. I have a bye week situation this week, Josh. I've been stashing Kendrick Miller on a short bench. He is dropped this week. I don't think he is still a hold.
I believe there are 6 teams on a bye this week.
Yeah.
There are going to be a lot of business decisions that are made.
Yep. Kendrick Miller's gone.
And Kendrick Miller will probably be one of them.
I agree. Craig, I know you've watched the show for a while. I don't know that you've been here for an episode. I thought you might enjoy this as a Syracuse fan. I, too, grew up a Syracuse fan from Northeast Ohio, but a Syracuse fan. Fell in love with Donovan McNabb. Became an Eagles fan while McNabb was there. The year where they were going to the Super Bowl, I told my wife, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, we are naming our child Donovan McNabb Weiss. She did not like the middle name of McNabb. She fell in love with the first name of Donovan. My child's name is Donovan Weiss. So I named my son after Donovan McNabb. Huge McNabb guy. Josh, final question for this segment. Do we still like Harold Fannin going forward as long as David Njoku is out? And I say I love that. Josh, I mentioned this multiple times in the show. Don't let this week jade you to Harold Fannin specifically. This was an ugly week. Dylan Gabriel will not throw the ball downfield. If David Njoku is out, I think Harold Fannin has top 10, possibly top 5 upside in PPR.
Well, yeah, because I mean, just look at the week before, right? When they were in London or not London, excuse me, the week after London. Dylan Gabriel threw the ball 52 times because they were behind. This is a bad team. Like, they're growing in the sense that, they're trying to work on getting these rookies more involved and they're seeing what they have. But this was always the plan with Judkins. Like, Judkins was going to be the workhorse. He was going to be the top bell cow, so to speak. Yeah. He was going to run the football. But he's also not very involved in the passing game, which makes him a very risky play in these types of situations where the Browns trail. Well, who does that benefit when the Browns trail? It's going to benefit Harold Fannin because their wide receivers are ass. And I've said from the get-go, Jerry Jeudy fucking sucks. And if the Browns are smart, they will move him before the deadline and get a bag of ketchup chips or whatever the fuck they can get. Like, he is awful. And he's not helping the growth of Isaiah Bond for starters.
No,
so
not.
You need to see your rookie class get better. And the way that you do that is you jettison the veterans that are clogging their growth and the roster as a whole. Harold Fannin is good. This team is going to run 12 personnel. So he's going to be on the field, even if Njoku is back. And because they don't have the wide receiver weapons, Fannin is going to have the opportunity. And it's only a matter of time before they get Shedeur Sanders playing as well. And Shedeur Sanders isn't afraid to push the ball downfield. Dylan Gabriel's just he's unable to because he just doesn't have the arm strength.
Yeah. Craig says he has to go. Always a good show. We appreciate you, buddy. George said the same thing. We'll be there for you in the DMs, my friend. Josh, let's get to the reason we started this show. Is it time to panic or chill the fuck out? How do we feel about these players from last week? I'm just going to read the list, Josh, and we can take it player by player. Jayden Daniels at quarterback. Panic or chill the fuck out. QB 11 in points per game. QB 13 in week 7. This is now the second injury that is likely to cause him to miss some time. Breece Hall. Panic or chill the fuck out. RB 27 in points per game. RB 25 in week 7. The Jets are 0-7. Justin Fields benched. Hall has 4 games this year with under 60 rushing yards. Xavier Worthy, panic or chill the fuck out. Wide receiver 50 over the season. Wide receiver in points per game. Wide receiver 42 through week 7. Rashee Rice returns, gets 10 targets. Worthy saw 4 targets in tight end. TJ Hockenson, panic or chill the fuck out. He is the tight end 23 in points per game. Tight end 14 for the week. He did drop an end zone ball. It could have been better for him, but it was not a great week. Josh, back to the top of the list. Jayden Daniels. Are we panicking? We chilling the fuck out.
I will say, if you're expecting a QB1, as in top 12 finish over the season, you're chilling the fuck out.
Okay.
If you're expecting QB5 or better, it's panic time.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily because of the injuries, because, again, as I mentioned earlier in the show, we play this game weekly. Like, you're still... you're looking at points per game more than anything.
Yeah.
The ascension of Drake May, the ascension, and I use that term very loosely because, Patrick Mahomes has been here, but he hasn't been a top guy in a while, it feels like, in fantasy. Dak Prescott, the way that he's throwing the football.
Yeah.
Right. These are guys that Baker Mayfield.
It was a little easier for Jayden Daniels to be a top 5 quarterback last season.
It was, correct. But now you're coupling the injuries, the competition. He's down his top wide receivers.
Yep.
Terry McLaurin has missed what feels like a month. Deebo Samuel has been oft injured, which is the story of his career.
His most reliable target is a 38-year-old tight end.
There you go. And they don't have any running backs on their team that are quality pass catchers. So Jayden Daniels has to play Superman. Now he's dealing with injuries that are a second injury that's going to cause him to miss probably 2 to 3 weeks, I would assume. It's a hamstring, right?
Yeah.
And this is a quarterback that relies on his legs. So, yeah, I think he probably still finishes top 12. But if you're expecting a top 5 quarterback rest of season, it's panic time.
Yeah, I'll move a little bit closer to the panic than Josh, just because we were worried about the injuries, and now we're seeing the injuries. Josh, Breece Hall in the Jets offense, but Breece Hall, panic or chill the fuck out.
Oh, it's full-blown panic.
I thought so.
Full-blown panic. You're right now praying that he gets traded. I straight up, you are praying that he gets traded because this offense cannot move down the football field.
Terrible.
They don't have the ability to do it. I've said all offseason that Justin Fields can and will get benched.
Yes, you did. I fought with you.
He got benched.
Yep.
Plain and simple. Like, they're eventually going to move to Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. And it's not necessarily because he gives you a better chance to win or because he's better than Justin Fields. He's a veteran, and veterans do typically make better decisions than young quarterbacks. And I say that loosely because Tyrod Taylor threw 2 interceptions in the second half of this game. But he's going to give this offense a better chance to win. I stand by that.
Yeah.
There are people in this locker room, and there were reports on it, that would rather have Tyrod Taylor as quarterback than Justin Fields because he's going to give them a better chance to win.
Yeah.
Justin Fields has more talent than Tyrod Taylor. I don't think there's a question about that. But Hall is not benefiting from this at all.
I agree. Yeah, this is all about Hall and panic. Going back to I didn't really get a chance to say this in my own segment. I think he's done, Josh. I don't think Justin Fields even deserves another chance. He is not a good NFL quarterback. Plain and fucking simple.
Nope.
Xavier Worthy, Josh. Obviously, the target volume this week is going to push people because Rashee Rice came back. He seems to be the favorite child.
Yeah, this is one that I'm chilling the fuck out on.
Okay, interesting. I thought you might go the other way.
Patrick Mahomes is QB1.
It doesn't matter. It
does not matter. Yeah. When Xavier Worthy was drafted, the reason that he got pushed up dynasty drafts, you want a piece of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy is the piece of Patrick Mahomes. And let's be honest here. Rashee Rice had 10 targets. He did not even have 50 yards receiving. He is a very low A-dot option.
Yeah.
He doesn't score 2 touchdowns. We're talking about him in this conversation, not Xavier Worthy.
You're not wrong. Like, the yardage was concerning how low it was.
Yeah. So. This seemed like he hasn't played in 6 weeks. He missed a vast majority of last season. We need to knock the rust off. We got to get this guy the football. That's what this felt like.
One thing I liked with Worthy, to go back to what we're talking about here, he also had like a 17-yard rush this game. So they're going to start using him in more creative ways that they weren't exactly able to. That's how they used
Tyreek Hill.
Exactly.
Like, they just didn't have another complementary high-volume piece outside of Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce had the big one catch, but like they did whatever they wanted against Las Vegas.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Isaiah Pacheco scored.
You've made my point for me.
Exactly.
This rushing attack is terrible.
Yeah.
They're going to throw the football a ton, plain and simple. Xavier Worthy is going to be fine. This is like, I get it. We wanted it to be a big thing because the Raiders defense is so bad, but we knew that Rashee Rice was going to pop this week. And he popped in the sense that he scored 2 touchdowns, but he didn't really pop catching the football.
Yeah.
Like, he averaged less than 5 yards per target. That's not good. So let's pump the brakes a little bit on Xavier Worthy. He's going to be fine.
Speaking of not good, Josh, I know we are always struggling to choose which bad tight end to talk about, but are we panicking or chilling on TJ Hockenson?
Well, I mean, if you listen to us in the offseason,
you were never in this.
You never drafted TJ Hockenson. So you're not in this position.
I literally have him on 0 teams.
I was going to say the only teams that I have him in are dynasty teams.
Yeah.
And I can't figure out how to trade him because nobody fucking wants him, which, you know what? I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess in the sense that if you spent a top 5 pick at tight end on him, then you're panicking and you should be panicking. but also too, you should be chilling the fuck out because you don't have him on your roster.
Yeah, you made this mistake.
Yeah, that's kind of the way that I look at it. JJ McCarthy was never going to be the type of quarterback that could sustain 3 top options at wide receiver and tight end. That was never going to be the thing, and I don't know why people assumed he would be.
Yep, Josh, you kind of made my point for me. I was going to say, if Hockenson didn't pop in the first 3 weeks, he was never going to pop. So
100%.
Great little wrap up to this section. Skills for Thrills asks, is it time to panic on your boy Saquon? I love the point you ended your Eagles wide receivers with. As the passing game improves, the running game will open.
So I'll go back. Same thing with TJ Hockenson. If you listen to me in this offseason, you should have prepared yourself for Saquon Barkley regression. He was never going to repeat 2,000 yards. He wasn't going to repeat 1,500 yards.
Yeah.
And he's not as involved in the passing game as people want him to be.
Yep.
As much as he should be. Let's be honest here. He is a very talented pass catcher.
It's almost like your Jayden Daniels take. If you're expecting top 5 Saquon, panic. If you're expecting top 15 Saquon, chill the fuck out.
Yeah. Saquon is going to be a top 15 back. He's probably going to end up being a top 10 back the rest of the season. But if you were expecting, top 3, top 5 production, it's panic time, 100%.
Yep. All right, Josh, let's wrap up this show. I throw Jay up on the screen because we're getting to Gators section. Wasn't able to make the show today. But before we do so, I will remind everybody, if you have not yet signed up for Underdog, you can use promo code WOFF. You will get a free pick, and they will match your first-time deposit up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We always give you guys picks at the end of every show we do this week, but Jay has really leaned into that this season, and he gives you entire lineups that you can pick over on Underdog. We got 2 Monday night games tonight. It is the Bucs at the Lions, the Texans at the Seahawks. Gator is 11-13 right now, and while if you're not a bettor, that doesn't sound great. Being close to 50% is exactly what you want to do when you were gambling. So Jay is going, Gator and Jay. Jay is going to give you a full 4 picks in the Discord later on today. But the one he highlighted for tonight's game, Sam Darnold higher than 223 points. Jay tells us Darnold has to pass this line every game this year except 2, week 1 and week 3. So it was a while ago. He does understand that Houston has an elite pass defense, but he's riding the hot arm of Darnold. Darnold has produced at least 242 passing yards in 4 of his last 5 games. The rest of the parlay will be in the Discord, but guess what? Josh and I give you some picks as well. I'm going to go to the other game. Baker Mayfield higher than 240 yards. I feel like this line's a little low, and I feel like people are scared of the Tampa Bay offense because of the injuries at wide receiver. Detroit has no secondary, folks. None. And they have allowed this 3 times this season, and in both of their last 2 games, over 240 passing yards. Baker has done this in 3 straight games. And Josh, when it comes to Baker Mayfield, I never worry about who his wide receivers are. The kid slings the ball 240 yards against this Detroit secondary. Should be easy.
I agree wholeheartedly. You get Mike Evans back. He's the top dog. Yeah. I think even without Ibuka, without Chris Godwin, he should be fine. He's a gunslinger. That's what he does.
And Josh, you got another quarterback. Lots of quarterback picks today.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a shootout. I think you'll see some rushing, but at the end of the day, this is going to boil down to Baker Mayfield versus Jared Goff. So I'm taking Jared Goff higher than 32.5 pass attempts.
There you go.
There's going to be a lot of plays. Bucs secondary leaves a lot to be desired. I don't think they're going to run the football 35 times. And granted, they have 2 running backs that are very capable of doing that, but Jared Goff is going to get his. You're going to see a lot of them on Rashae Brown this week, and I think 32.5. It's a high line, don't get me wrong. But it's Jared Goff. He hits this pretty consistently.
Yeah, and I think Tampa Bay will put him in a spot where they have to throw
that. And that's kind of my point. Like, yes, Tampa is down those receiving weapons, but without Bucky Irving, they have to throw the football, plain and simple. And they're throwing the football to Rachaad White. Like, Rachaad White's not a 20-25 carry back, certainly not an efficient back with that type of workload. So they're throwing the football. They're going to throw to White. They're going to throw to Evans. They're going to throw to Sterling Shepard and Tez Johnson and Cameron Johnson and K. Dotton. They're going to throw to those guys. Yeah. So by them throwing the football, that's going to make Jared Goff and the Lions throw the football as well.
There you go. For Jay's picks, make sure you guys jump in the Discord. Josh will drop that link in the chat one more time. Hey, we're wrapping the show up. Make sure you guys hit like, subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platform, hit that follow button. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. No more questions for today's show. I will point out we will be live again, me and Josh, yet again, tomorrow morning to talk all things waivers. That is wiretapped at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then again tomorrow night, we go live twice on Tuesday. Sam Holt and Derek Tate for the Women of Fantasy Football Sideline Banner. That show is 10 p.m. Eastern. That is our first look at the week 8 matchups, rather. My apologies. First look at the week 8 matchups while Josh and I will break down waivers in the morning. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. That's Monday's Hangxiety. Hopefully you guys had a good chance to vent, celebrate those wins. Good luck. Hope all your Monday miracles come true. We'll see you tomorrow.